Good evening. Thank you for having me here. I have really looked forward to this. This is the longest speech I will have been able to make this whole campaign. Everywhere I've been, they've limited us to 2 minutes. I keep telling everybody because of my southern drawl, I should get a handicap, but nobody's bothered so far. So I understand I have 3 to 5 minutes here, and I have a lot of territory to cover because I think there's a lot that people do not understand. My opponent says he's running against me because the people are entitled to a choice, to have a choice. How in the world do I argue with that? Of course the people are entitled to a choice. And my suggestion is they have always had a choice. It's how our system works. When Allison DeFore, lots of you have to remember Allison DeFore, announced he was not going to run for re-election in 1986, I qualified to run. Anybody else could have qualified for this position. Nobody else qualified, so I took it. I was elected because there was no opposition. The people had a choice 4 years later when I was up for re-election. Nobody chose to run against me. The people had a choice 8 years later. Nobody chose to run against me. This begins to get confusing now. My third 4-year term, when anybody could have run against me, nobody chose to run against me. They then, because of a constitutional amendment, remember the year we all voted for the bullet train? Well, you also voted a constitutional amendment that made county court judges' terms 6 years long instead of 4 years long. So it's kind of mishy-mashy in there. I think this is either the 5th or the 6th time I have stood for re-election, and the people have had a choice, and the choice has been me. I think I have a fine reputation in the Upper Keys without besmirching anybody down below. You have to really be inside of the system. Ned Mulett, these other lawyers in here, there are 5 or 6 lawyers in here that practice up here, they practice in Marathon, they practice in Key West. They will tell you that you have a court system in the Upper Keys that you can be proud of. People in Miami compliment me. It's not because I'm the judge. I hear it indirectly all the time about what a smooth-running, efficient, modern court system we have in the Upper Keys. And I assure you things are not that good down below. Before I decided to run for judge, I lose track of time, so somebody tell me if I'm going too long here. Before I ran for county judge, I was an assistant public defender. I defended people charged with crimes who didn't have the money to pay a lawyer. I then went into private practice. I was an associate in a law firm. I became a member of that law firm. We were a civil law firm. I continued to do criminal defense, only had clients that wore ties then and could pay me a fee. I did landlord-tenant as a private attorney. I did divorces. I did child custodies. I did dependencies. I said landlord-tenant, didn't I? I did just about every type of civil case there is, and also continued to defend people charged with crimes. I then became an assistant state attorney. I prosecuted crimes for a number of years in Key West. I became the chief assistant under Kirk Zeltz, traveled up and down the Keys, and prosecuted crimes. So I've got civil experience, I've got criminal experience, I've done torts, I've done landlord-tenant, divorces, child custodies, dependency, you name it. I have done architectural malpractice, personal injury. I have done virtually everything as a lawyer or a judge that you can do in the state of Florida. And then I ran for a judgeship. My opponent has had one job as an attorney. He's been an assistant state attorney in Key West, Florida for 7 years. If I understand correctly, he's been admitted to practice in the state of Florida for 7 years. He did not become eligible under the law in the state of Florida to even run for a judgeship until 24 months ago. You have to practice 5 years before you are allowed to become a lawyer. I don't know any judge on the bench now that did not have a multifaceted experience using their law degree before they took the bench. as a judge. I don't know any judge who's only been a prosecutor. I've never known a judge who's been a prosecutor for only 7 years and become a judge. Please vote for me. This is my home. I'm married here. My children were born here. They were educated here. This is my home. I'm not passing through. I'm a 30-year resident of Monroe County, and my heart and my soul are in Monroe County. I look at these wonderful things we have now since incorporation. We've got a Founders Park. I remember when we didn't have a Founders Park. I remember what the Upper Keys were like. I have worked, I have fought as a private citizen to improve life in the Upper Keys. And I'll tell you this, and this is one of these intangibles I just cannot get across to you. This is a better community because I have been a judge here for 23 years. This community would be different had I not been the judge for 23 years. Please vote for me.